You can see them everywhere, though you might not know they're there. All at once you will be aware of angels without wings.
Well, originally the idea was to write an album of modern day folk songs and to write with a different writer on every track. We didn't manage it on every track, but we did get King Creosote and Louis Abbott from Admiral Fallow and Tim O'Brien and Buhiradine.
There are tears at heaven's gate.
Buhiradine wrote Angels Without Wings with my husband John. So that's where the title of the record came from. It was one of the first songs that I decided I'd like to record, and they wrote it in a little back room of a folk club a couple of years ago. I always sang. One of my first musical memories was singing in my mum and dad's house with my mum. She used to run the church choir, so that's when I first started singing in public, was in that mass. I started getting gigs in the local pub just to go and sing for an hour in the evening when I was in school, and it just kept going. I just started getting more and more gigs, and then I moved to New York when I left school, and I ended up staying for 7 years. But while I was there, I met a band called Cherish the Ladies, which are an Irish-American folk group, so I joined them. They're hugely successful in the States, and so I went from singing in little pubs to singing in front of 2,000 people in big symphony halls and art centres, so it was a really great experience for me. This album feels a lot more personal, and I'm a lot more emotional about it, I think, because I've written lots of the songs myself, or co-written them, so it feels a lot more like it's me, more so than the other albums. I'm very new to songwriting, and I've only started recording my own songs in the last couple of years. I've just gotten a little bit more confident. Usually the melody comes first, and it seems to be a bit easier to write the melody than the lyrics. It definitely is for me. It can be just when I'm bathing my little girl, I could just get an idea and I'll sing it into my phone usually, and sometimes if I'm just messing around with a ukulele and just with chords, and I'll get a bit of an idea for a melody. I'd met Kenny at different festivals and gigs over the last few years, and he picked me for his, he was asked about a fantasy band in the Independent, and he picked me and Morgan Harkett from Aha on joint lead vocals. So I sort of had it in the back of my mind for a while that I'd like to work with him, and that sort of brought it up again. So I had this melody, and I just emailed him and I said, would you write some lyrics for this song? So he did, and he sent it back to me, and then I just thought I'll push it a little bit more, and I said, will you do a duet with me, will you sing it with me? So he said he would. In the calm before the storm, I was like, make it as sad as you possibly can. I wanted to be really sad, you know. I like singing miserable songs. They're the most fun to sing. I wrote The Loneliest with my husband John and with Louis Abbott from Admiral Fallow, and I met Louis on a TV show we did last New Year's Eve in Glasgow, and we just became friends. He was one of the first people we thought of that we'd love to write a song with.
My life has been my own, the years have fairly flown.
We sent Louis a melody. He sent us back like a demo of him singing the song, and it was really beautiful, so we asked him if he'd sing it with us, you know, do it as a duet with me. So he said he would, so he did, and I think it's really beautiful.
Shield me from grief, and me around to help me grin and bear it.
I think the songs lent themselves to a duet, you know, both of those songs. I had sort of planned on asking them to sing backing vocals and things, but it just, the lyrics that came back lent themselves to a duet, so and they're totally brilliant, so it was great to get them involved, you know, have them more involved in the record.
And all I ever wanted.
Yeah, well, I think people pick up on, you know, different parts of your melody that maybe you hadn't thought of, you know, and they interpret things a little bit different, like that you might write a line with somebody that they hadn't thought of, or have a different take on their lyrics, you know, and it turns into something else.
The seas go, this is rough. I'm made of softer stuff. I'll waltz across the cobble solo style.
Will I ever get to sleep? I wrote that with my husband John. He'd written this gorgeous melody. We were travelling back from somewhere in England after a gig, and we were in the car, and I wrote lyrics for it very quickly because my daughter's 2 was beside me, and I was trying to give her a lunch and keep her happy and trying to write lyrics. So it became a very humorous song. I think there was no way it was going to be a serious song in those given them circumstances.
Every other hour, but you're not home for weeks.
All the guys that played on the record are friends and I've worked with before, and it's a great environment to work in, you know, rather than hiring session musicians that you don't really know. We recorded here in the studio for a week, and the idea was to make the album as live as possible, with as much life as possible, and we'd just go for it, and if there was small mistakes we'd keep going, and unless there was something major we wouldn't stop, and we tried to keep a lot of the guide vocals as well, so that it sounded like a band playing together rather than everybody coming in and recording their parts separately. It was just brilliant fun, apart from anything else, and getting to play music with your pals is just the best environment that you could hope for. I'm looking forward to singing the songs live and letting them develop into a different thing, because, you know, when you don't when you're not recording them, when you're doing them live, they totally become something different. Yeah, as long as I didn't sound like a total fanny.